So hello everyone, welcome to another video on discrete maths. In the last video, we talked about a few structures in abstract algebra. Right? More specifically, we talked about what is an algebraic structure. Then we saw what is a semigroup. Then we saw what is a monoid. Then we saw what's a group, and finally we saw what's an abelian group. And then using several examples, we tried to figure out to which structure these different examples belonged. Okay, so that was the content of our last video. In this video we are going to talk about two very related things and still a bit different. Okay, these are called ring and field. Okay, so in last video we saw things like there was a set, so let me call this set R. Okay, and we talked about whether some operation, for example addition, whether this here by R I am not talking about the set of real numbers. Okay, this is some general set R. Okay, or I can say A in place of R, would not matter. So what we tried to figure out in the last video was this, whether the closure property was satisfied. Okay, first the closure property. So if the closure property was satisfied, then we said that it was a algebraic structure. Then we saw if associativity was satisfied. If associativity was satisfied, we said it was a semigroup. Okay. Then we tried to figure out if identity existed. Okay. If the identity element with respect to this operation, whether this existed. Okay. If it existed, then we say it's a monoid. Then we tried to figure out whether for each element the inverse existed. If the inverse existed and all these were satisfied, then we say it's a group. Okay, so refer to the last video, we talked about all these things in details. Okay, and finally if it was commutative, if the commutative property was satisfied under this operation by elements of this set, then we said that it was a abelian group. Okay, so these are the properties, and based on these properties we said what was the kind of structure that this thing was. Okay, this set under this operation, what was it? So in this video, in this class, we are not going to take one operation. Okay, we are going to take two operations. In the sense, I am going to have this set once again. Then my first operation will be something. Here I am taking addition, and my second operation is something. Here I am taking multiplication, for example. Okay. So unlike last video's content, in this video my set will have two operations working on it. Okay. Now this triple, in the last video we had an ordered pair. Okay. Here we have a ordered triple. Okay. So here, if three conditions are satisfied, number one, this set under this operation addition should be an abelian group. This is condition 1. Okay. Condition 2, this set under this operation multiplication should be a semigroup. Okay. So this set under this operation should be an abelian group. So this set under this operation should be closed. It should be associative. It should have each of the there should be an identity element with respect to this operation, and then for each of the element in this set the inverse must exist. Okay. So, and finally under this operation the elements of the set must be commutative. So if these 5 conditions are satisfied, then it will be an abelian group. So this set under this operation must be an abelian group. Then the set, once again that set under this operation, this multiplication, it should be closed and it should be associative. Okay, these two conditions should be satisfied, then it will be a semigroup. So those are condition 1, that this should be an abelian group. Condition 2, this should be a semi group. And condition 3 is this multiplication, this operation multiplication must be distributive over addition. Okay, so what do I mean by this? I mean, say I have three elements A, B and C that are from R, then A into B plus C should be equal to A into B plus A into C. You know, this is true in case of normal addition and multiplication. Okay, this is called left distributive. Similarly, right distributive must also be satisfied. So I have this addition to in the left side of this multiplication. Here I have the addition in the right side of the multiplication. Okay, so this is right distributive. This should also be satisfied. A into C plus B into C. Alright, so this for any ABC that belongs to R, if these two are satisfied, that means the distributive property is satisfied. Distributive property of what? The multiplication must be distributive over addition. So the multiplication is distributed over the addition. Here also multiplication is distributed over the addition. Okay. So yeah, if these three rules, that Rn plus this set under this operation addition is an abelian group, this set under the operation multiplication is a semi group, and multiplication is distributive over addition. If these three conditions are satisfied, then we say that this R under this operation addition and multiplication is a ring. Simple. Okay. So this is basically what rings are. Okay. So let us try to recall for this the set of integer under addition and multiplication. I am going to write a dot instead of a cross. Okay, this is multiplication, and once again I am saying addition and multiplication. I don't mean the addition and multiplication always. Okay, here in most of the examples I will be taking the addition and multiplication that we have been studying since LP school, but here this is operation 1, this is operation 2, operator 1, 2. There are two operators, okay, and so under this first operator it should be an abelian group, under second operator it should be a semi group, and this first operator should be second operator should be distributable over first operator. Okay, so here my first operator is addition, second is multiplication. Instead of cross I am writing dot. Okay, don't make any don't be confused about this. So we have figured out in our last class that Z plus set of integer under addition is a abelian group. Okay, we have figured out in our last class that the set of integer under multiplication is a semi group. Okay, yeah, it's a semi group. Then is this true? Is multiplication in case of integer distributable over addition? So is this true? If A is some integer and B and C are also integers, then AB plus AC. Okay, and also A plus B into C. Okay, so I am not writing the operation, I still mean this multiplication. Okay, A dot C plus B dot C. So this is left distribution, this is right distributive. Okay, so if both of these are satisfied, which we know that in case of an integer this is true. Okay, multiplication can be distributed over addition. So I know this is true, and this is true. This distributive property is true. So because of this we know the set of integer under addition and multiplication is a ring. Okay. set of integer under addition and say division. Okay, this I know zth division, this is not even an algebraic structure. Okay, therefore this is an example of something that is not a ring, right? So this is not a ring. Okay, so once again, to make our definition a more detailed, this would be a ring if a few conditions are satisfied. So there are a few rules. So rule number 1 is this: for all AB that belongs to R, okay, A plus B should also belong to R. This is the rule of closure, that addition must be closed. Okay, this set must be closed under addition. Then for all ABC that belongs to R, under this operation addition, A plus B plus C, this left associative must be equal to A plus B plus C. So associativity must be satisfied under addition. Rule number 3, okay, there must exist some zero element. Okay, there must exist some zero element that belongs to R, such that for all A that belongs to R, A plus 0 is equal to 0 plus A is equal to A. In other words, this zero element, this is what? This is the additive identity. Okay, so additive identity must exist. There must exist some additive identity such that this is the definition of additive identity. Okay, then for all element A that belongs to R, there must exist some minus A that belongs to R, such that A plus minus A is equal to the additive identity. In other words, the additive inverse must exist. Okay, number 5, for all element A and B that belongs to R, A plus B must be equal to B plus A. Right? This is the commutative property. Then number 6, for all AB belongs to R, A dot B, okay, so the second A multiplication B must also belong to R. So multiplication must be closed, or this set must be closed under multiplication. Then number 7, for all ABC that belongs to R, A dot B dot C, this left associative must be equal to A dot B dot C. Alright, so this is says that the associativity property must be satisfied. Then for all ABC belongs to R, okay, A dot B plus C must be equal to AB plus AC, and A plus B dot C must be equal to AC plus BC. Alright, this is the distributive property, where multiplication is distributed over addition. The second operator is distributed over the first. Okay, so what have I written here? These 5 rules, this says that these are under operation addition is a abelian group. This rule 6 and 7, it says are under multiplication is a semi-group, and this says that multiplication is distributed over addition. So I have these 8 rules over here. Alright, so if these 8 rules are satisfied, okay, then we would know that this set under these 2 operations, this form a ring. Alright, simple. Next concept is commutative ring. So what are the three rules for a ring? So ring under this some set under this operation addition and multiplication, it will be a ring if this set R under addition is an abelian group, this set R under multiplication is a semi group, and what multiplication is distributive over addition. So we already talked about this. These are the definition of ring. Now what is a commutative ring? Okay, a commutative ring is a ring. So I will have this four condition. Apart from this, I will have this condition that multiplication is commutative. Okay, I am not saying that multiplication, this set under multiplication is an abelian group. Okay, don't be confused about that. This set under multiplication. Okay, so I have used two symbols for multiplication, right? Let me use one. Okay, so this set under multiplication is a semi group. Okay, and then this commutative is satisfied. So identity is not necessary. Under multiplicative, identity is not necessary, and this every element need not have an inverse. Okay, multiplicative inverse. So if it were commutative, multiplication were commutative, if identity existed and if every element had an inverse, and then the semi-group properties were also satisfied, then this set under multiplication would have been an abelian group. Okay, but I am not saying that this set under multiplication has to be an abelian group. It need not be an abelian group. Okay, it should be a semi-group. That itself is enough. Plus this commutative property should be satisfied. If commutative property is satisfied, plus so what are the properties that need to be satisfied right now for multiplication? For this set R under this operation multiplication, it needs to be closed, it needs to be associative. Okay, if these two properties are satisfied, then it would be a semi-group. And now to be a commutative ring, it has to also satisfy this commutative property. Okay, so yeah, these are the four rules that needs to be satisfied. Okay, don't make the confusion that multiplication, this set under multiplication has to be abelian. No, it does not have to be an abelian group. It needs to be a semi-group, and then it needs to be commutative. So let us talk about this with example. The set of integer. Once again, this will be a quintessential example that we will use throughout this lecture. Okay, this z under addition and multiplication. Let us see. I know this is a ring. Okay, we already talked about this. I know this is a ring. So rule number one, z under addition, it is an abelian group. Z under multiplication, it is a semi-group. I know that. I know multiplication is distributive over addition. Okay, already discussed about this. And is this true? For every two integers, say a and b, say any a and b that belongs to this set of integers, is a and b equal to b dot a? So any two integers a and b, a multiplication b is equal to b multiplication a times b is equal to b times a. We know that, right? So let us not talk too much about proving this. We know this for a fact. Okay, so I know multiplication is commutative. Okay, elements of this set, when I do multiplication, I know this multiplication is commutative. Because of this reason, I know that this set of integer under this operation addition and multiplication is a ring. It is in fact a commutative ring. Alright, so yeah, good. Let me ask you to figure out the set of this rational numbers. Okay, under this same operation, the set of real number under this same operation. Try to figure out if these are ring, and then try to figure out if these are commutative ring. Alright, let me talk about one new set, the set of say n by n matrices. Okay, under addition and multiplication, where n is greater than equal to 2. So set of matrices under addition and multiplication. Last time we talked about this. Okay, let me write multiplication like this. In the last class we talked about the set of square matrices, fixed square matrices under addition is an abelian group. Okay, set of matrices under multiplication is a semi group. So refer to the last video if you have confusion about why these are true. Okay, now this is also true that in case of multiplication, this matrix multiplication is distributive over matrix addition. Okay, so matrix multiplication is distributive over matrix addition. This is true. Okay, try to verify whether this is true. Right now take my word for it, but you should verify. Okay, so because these three properties are satisfied, I know this is a ring. Okay, now is matrix multiplication commutative? So take any two 2 by 2 square matrices for example, okay, and do the matrix multiplication for itself, by yourself. Okay, and you will see that matrix multiplication is not commutative. Alright, so yeah, do that. Try to do matrix multiplication. Matrix A multiplied by matrix B. Try to see what is the answer, and then do matrix B multiplied by matrix A. Try to figure out that answer. You will see that the two values, the two matrices that you will get after doing this matrix multiplication, the two matrices are different. So A times B is not equal to B times A in case of this set, the set of n by n square matrices, where n is some set of 2 by 2 square matrices, or set of 4 by 4 or 3 by 3 or anything, n is greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so this is not satisfied. Okay, so commutative property is not satisfied, these three are satisfied, these three are satisfied, so I know this is a ring. This is not satisfied, so I know this is not commutative ring. Alright, okay. Next is ring with unity. Okay, what is ring with unity? Let me give you the formal definition first. There must exist some element, this unity element. Okay, let me write one that belongs to R, such that for all A that belongs to R, this 1 into A is equal to A into 1 is equal to A. Okay, so what does ring with unity mean? Ring with unity means that the properties of ring must be satisfied, of course. Okay, it's a ring and then this property is satisfied. So what does this mean? It means this, so I am talking about this, okay, some set R under addition and multiplication once again. So R under addition, it's a abelian group. R under multiplication, we will talk about this. Then multiplication is distributive over addition. Okay, and number 4 property is what must exist? Some element. Okay, I have written 1 here. I can write some e. Okay, instead of 1, some element e must exist, that when I multiply e with a, or when I multiply a with e, I should get back a. So this kind of an element must exist. In case of multiplication, I know this element is 1. Okay, that is the reason I wrote 1. Okay, so this is what? This is the multiplicative identity. Okay, so the multiplicative identity must also exist. What was the rule before? R under multiplication, it must be a semigroup. Okay, so semigroup property, these 3 were the rules for ring. So semigroup, this point number 2, it says that this set R under multiplication must be closed, must be associative. And now for ring with unity, it says that the identity element, multiplicative identity, that this unity, this element must exist. Okay, so it should be a monoid. Okay, so if these 3 properties are satisfied, okay, or I can, instead of writing this as monoid, to make my definition consistent with what I was writing, I can say this has to be a semigroup and multiplicative identity. Okay, this is called unity because this is equal to 1. Okay, usually in mathematics. So this is called unity. So multiplicative identity must belong to R. Okay, so these are the 4 rules. If these 4 rules are satisfied, then the ring that we will have is called a ring with unity. Okay, so yeah, so in literature you will often find instead of e, they directly write 1. Okay, so they will write 1. So yeah, 1 is the most common quintessential multiplicative identity in case of integer or anything. But then if my multiplication, if my set is the set of matrices, then 1 does not refer to this digit, this number 1. Okay, 1 would refer to this identity matrix in case of matrices. Alright, so keep that in mind. When I write 1, I don't actually mean the number 1. I am just abstract, I am talking about an abstract view of 1. Okay, we are of course doing abstract algebra over here, right? Okay, so yeah, this is ring with unity. Once again, our quintessential example or basic example, the most common example that we have been using, our go-to example, the set of integers under addition and multiplication. Okay, we know this is a ring, so we know this is abelian group, we know this is a semi-group, we know distributive multiplication is distributive over addition. Alright, and thus 1, what is the multiplicative identity? 1 is the multiplicative identity. We are talking about normal multiplication, okay, integer multiplication. This is the set of integers. So what is the multiplicative identity in case of integers? It is 1, the number 1. So does this integer 1, the number 1, does it belong to the set of integer? Yet yes, it does belong to the set of integers, right? So multiplicative identity exists. Okay, so these 4 rules, they are satisfied. Because of this, we know that this set of integers under addition and multiplication is a ring with unity. Okay, let us talk about another example. This is the set of even integers. Okay, I can write e if I want, but then more formally, in the last class we wrote e. right? E and this meant that the set of even numbers under addition. I'm going to write a more formal term today. 2z, 2z. This is the set of even integers. All right. Okay. So the set of even integers under addition and multiplication. In the last class, we figured out this set of even integer under addition. This is an abelian group. Okay. Set of even integer under multiplication. This is an semi group. All right. So in case of this also, multiplication is distributive over addition. Okay. So these three rules are satisfied. So because of this, we know this is a ring. We know this is a ring. All right. Now let us talk about whether this multiplicative identity belongs to the set. What is our set? Set of even integers. What is the multiplicative identity? Multiplicative identity is 1. So does 1 belong to the set of even integer? 1 does not belong to the set of even integers, right? 1 is an odd number. 1 is not an even number. So it does not belong to the set of even integers. So because of this, we know that multiplicative identity does not belong to our set. Okay. So this rule is satisfied, this rule is satisfied, this rule is satisfied. Because of the satisfaction of these three rules, we know that our set, the set of even and integers under this operation addition and multiplication, is a ring. But because this rule is not satisfied, we know this is not a ring with unity. Alright? Okay. So this is ring with unity. Next is one more simple concept. Divisors. So what is a divisor? Say I have three elements A, B, C that belongs to R. Okay. Now R, this is a commutative ring. Okay. So this has to be a commutative ring. Then what is divisor in case of commutative ring? It should happen that say A, B and C are three elements from this set R. Okay. Where A and B are not equal to the additive identity. Okay. And A dot B is equal to C. Then what do we say? We say that A and B are divisors of C. Okay. So we know, let us talk about this with an example. We know the set of integers under addition and multiplication is a commutative ring. In the set of, we have already talked about this. Then we know in the set of integer 2 and 3, they belong to the set of integer. When I multiply them, okay, I am talking about multiplication. When I multiply them, I will have 6. Alright, so 2 and 3 are called divisors of 6. Fine? Fine. Let us now talk about zero divisors. Zero divisors means what? A and B must belong to the set. Okay, if A and B, some A and B that belongs to the set where A and B are not equal to 0, and A dot B must be equal to 0. Okay, now none of these are 0. Okay, this is the 0 element. The multiplication of these two must give me the 0 element. Then A and B are called divisors of 0. Okay, or they are called 0 divisors. What is 0 divisor? Once again, my set has to be a commutative ring. Okay, my two elements, they are from this set. Okay, some two element where none of these two element is equal to 0, but then the multiplication of these two element must be equal to 0. Okay, if the multiplication of these two element is equal to 0, then these two elements are called 0 divisors. Okay, because these two divides 0. Okay, this follows naturally from the definition of what are divisors. Okay. Let us talk about this with an example. Let us say I have this set Z6. This is the set of integers modulo 6. So what do I have in the set? I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the elements in my set. Okay, and I am trying to figure out if this, if this is what is this? First I have to figure out if this is a commutative ring. Okay, let's try to figure this out. To be a commutative ring, what has to be true? This has to be true. This set under addition must be an abelian group. Okay, so is it closed? It is closed. I add any two number. Okay, I add 5 plus say 1. 1 plus 5 will give me 6, which is in modulo 6 is equal to 0. So 5 plus 2 will give me 7, which in modulo 6 is equal to 1. Or I say add 3 plus 4, this is 7, which under modulo 6 is equal to 1. So yeah, this is closed. Is it associative? Yes, so modulo addition is associative. So this is associative. Okay. Then does identity element exist? Yes, 0 is the identity, additive identity. So identity exists. Does inverse exist for each element? Okay. So for 1, 5 is the inverse. So 1 plus 5 is equal to 6, which is equal to 0. Okay. For 2, 4 is the inverse. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6, which is equal to 0. For 3, 3 itself is the inverse. 3 plus 3 is equal to 6, which is equal to 0. Okay. So yeah, for all the elements, for 0 itself is the inverse. Okay. So for all the elements, the inverse exists. That we can figure out. For 1, 5 is the inverse. For 2, 4 is the inverse. For 3, 3 itself is the inverse. For 4, 2 is the inverse. For 5, 1 is the inverse. And for 0, it is itself the inverse. Okay, so identity exists. So inverse exists. And addition, modulo addition is commutative. Okay, so addition, multiplication, these are associative, commutative, like in normal arithmetic. Okay, so in modulo arithmetic also these are associative and commutative. So I cannot prove this with example right now. You can refer to your book, or you must have studied this back in school. Okay, modulo arithmetic, that these are associative and commutative. So proving that these are associative and commutative is one of the prerequisite for abstract algebra. I cannot sit down and prove this over here. Okay. Next is this set under multiplication? It is closed. I multiply two elements of this. Say I multiply 2 into 4. Okay, so if I multiply 2 into 4, I will get 8. Okay, which is 2 in modulo 6. Alright. So I can do another example. I can do 3 into 5. 3 into 5 is equal to 15, which is 3 in modulo arithmetic. I can do 3 into 4. 3 into 4 is equal to 12, which is equal to 0. So when I do any multiplication, I will have uh, I will get a result which is in this set. Okay, so yeah, this is closed. Then arithmetic multiplication is associative. Okay, then distributive. Yeah, take my word for it right now. Multiplication is distributive over addition. This is true in case of modulo arithmetic as well. So try to figure this out. Try to figure if this is true. Try to figure if this and this are true. Okay. Right now I am asking you to take my word for it, because otherwise I just have to spend a class doing modular arithmetic. Okay. And this is beyond the scope of this course. This arithmetic is a prerequisite for abstract algebra. You cannot do abstract algebra without knowing what is arithmetic. Alright. So yeah, these are satisfied. So these 5 properties are satisfied means what? That means that this is a abelian group. These 2 properties are satisfied means what? This means that this is a semi-group. Okay, and then distributive. So I know this is a abelian group, I know this is a semi-group, and I know multiplication is distributive over addition. Okay, so because of all this reason, I know that this set of integer modulo 6 under addition and multiplication is a ring. In fact, it's a now it's a ring. Okay, these 3 are satisfied. Now one more thing, any A and B from this set is equal to B dot A. Alright, so this is also true. So I know this is a commutative ring. So multiplication is commutative. Okay, once again, arithmetic, basic arithmetic, we know from arithmetic multiplication is commutative. Okay, similarly modular multiplication is also commutative. You can test with number for yourself and see it, but testing is not a good method. You should have proofs, but then for this course right now, test for yourself and try to gain an equation. Okay, so because of this reason we know this is a commutative ring. Okay, so all the 4 condition being what? This under this is an abelian group, this under this is a semi group, this is distributive over this, and this under this follows the satisfies the commutative property. So all these 4 conditions are satisfied. Because of that we know this is a commutative ring. Okay, now what are the zero divisors over here? Okay, we were talking about zero divisors. Zero divisors means what? A into B, where A and B are both from this set. The multiplication of these 2, okay, should give me the zero element. What is the zero element in our case, in our set? Zero element is 0 itself. Okay, so I know 2 into 3 in modulo 6. 2 into 3 is equal to 6, which is equal to 0. Okay, again 3 into 4. 3 into 4 is equal to 12, which is equal to 0. Okay, so what do I have? 2 and 3 are zero divisors. 3 and 4 are zero divisors. So 2 and 3 are divisors of 0. 3 and 4 are divisors of 0. So I know in this set 2, 3 and 4 are 0 divisors. Alright. Okay. So this is the concept of zero divisors. So we figured out, given a set, how to figure out what are the given set and operations, how to figure out what are the zero divisors. Alright. So here we did empirical testing after using every combination, and then we figured out. Okay, once again, let us go back to some set R. This is not the set of real number. Once again, this is some arbitrary set R. Okay, we are using this letter R because R stands for ring. Alright. So some set R under addition and multiplication. Okay, if it satisfies a few conditions. Number one, R is non-trivial ring, non-trivial commutative ring. Okay, non-trivial means what? R has at least two elements. Okay, so the cardinality of R is greater than or equal to 2. So R is a non-trivial commutative ring and R contains no zero divisors. Okay, so in the last example, the set of integers modulo 6 under addition and multiplication, we saw there were 3 zero divisors, right? So that was also a non-trivial commutative ring. Non-trivial because the cardinality, which was equal to 6, is greater than 2. Okay, greater than or equal to 2, and it is a commutative ring. Okay, so our Z6 was a commutative ring, but then Z6 contained zero divisors. In fact, it contained 3 zero divisors. Okay, so if these two rules are satisfied, this is rule number 1, this is rule number 2. If these two rules are satisfied, then this would be called an integral domain. Okay. Let us talk about our set, our ring. So this we know is a commutative ring. In fact, it's a non-trivial commutative ring. Why non-trivial? Because Z, the set of integer, definitely contains more than 2 elements. It contains an infinite, countably infinite number of elements. Alright. So this is a non-trivial commutative ring. But tell me this. Can I have any two integers? Alright. Any two integer where none of this integer, A and B, say are my integer, when A and B, neither of them is equal to 0. Will two integer, when I multiply them, neither of them is equal to 0, exist such that the product of them is equal to 0. So multiplying two integers, neither of them is equal to 0, should give me 0. Does such integer exist? Such integer does not exist, right? So because of this reason, we know this set contains no zero divisor. Okay, so there is no element AB such that A dot B will be equal to 0. Okay, where neither A nor B is equal to 0. So if some AB is equal to 0 from our set of integer, either A has to be equal to 0 or B has to be equal to 0, right? So A and B not being 0, their product will never be equal to 0. We know that. So that means what? That means there is no AB whose product gives me 0. That means this set has no zero divisor. So okay, these two properties. It's non-trivial commutative ring and there is no zero divisor in this set. So these two properties are satisfied in this. So because of this, we know this is an integral domain. Okay. Similarly, the set of rational number under addition multiplication, the set of real number. Now this is the set of real number. Okay. Under addition multiplication, these two are also integral domain. Alright. Now let us talk about another set. The set of even number, even integers under addition and multiplication. Okay. Now we talked about this. This is a commutative ring. Did we talk about this, that this is a commutative ring? Okay, this is a commutative ring. Try to verify for yourself. Okay, and this is definitely non-trivial. Okay, because this is not. This definitely contains more than 2 elements. This in fact contains infinite element. So this is a non-trivial commutative ring. Okay. Now from the set of integers, even numbers, can I have two even number whose multiplication will give me 0 such that neither of these two is equal to 0? So AB is not equal to 0, but A dot B should give me 0. So both A and B are what? Okay, yeah. Okay, I made a mistake. Okay, it should be non-trivial commutative ring with unity. Okay, in my previous example we talked about Z6, or did we talk about Z? Sorry, we talked about Z plus dot. Okay, in this example, one which is the multiplicative identity. Okay, so multiplicative identity must belong, if it belongs to a ring, it says it is a ring with unity. So it has to be a commutative ring with unity. One belongs to the set of integers, right? So unity exists. Here, let us talk about this. Is this this is a commutative ring? Okay. So 0 divisor does not exist. There is no even number, two even number such that their product is equal to 0 and neither of them is equal to 0. Okay, two non-zero even number multiplied together will never give me 0. So this has no 0 divisor. But does unity belong to the set? Multiplicative identity. Multiplicative identity is 1. 1 is an odd number. This is the set of even number. So unity does not belong to the set. Okay. So although this is a non-trivial commutative ring, this condition is satisfied, this condition is satisfied, but this condition is not satisfied in this example. Okay. So yeah, this is not an integral domain. This is not integral domain. Okay. So integral domain, I made a mistake when giving you the rules. It has to be a commutative ring. It has to be non-trivial commutative ring. In fact, then there should be no 0 divisors, and then unity must exist. Alright. So it should be a ring with unity. It should be a commutative ring with unity. Okay. So we have been talking about unity till now. Okay, there is this other concept called unit. We have been talking about unity. Okay, this is a different thing. Unit is a different thing. Okay. So what is unit? In a non-trivial ring. So what is non-trivial? The set must contain more than 2 elements. More than or equal to 2 elements. In a non-trivial ring with unity. Okay. An element A is said to be an unit if there exists an element B such that A into B is equal to B into A is equal to 1. That is unity. in other words, multiplicative identity. Okay, so what does this say? It says that some element in the set. So I have say R is my set. So this is the ring that I am talking about, R plus multiplication. Okay, so this is the ring that I am talking about. From this set R, I have some element A. So when is A called an unit? A is called a unit if there exists some element B such that A into B is equal to B into A is equal to the multiplicative identity. What does this mean? This means that the element A is called a unit if A has a multiplicative inverse. The multiplicative inverse of A must belong to the set. Okay, so it is called B. Sometimes it is also written as A inverse. Okay, so there must exist an element. So for this element A will be called an unit if the multiplicative inverse A inverse, also I have written B over here, such that A into A inverse is equal to A inverse into A. This should give me the unity, the multiplicative identity 1. Okay, in that case, if this is satisfied, then A is called a unit. Okay. So yeah, a few properties. Multiplicative inverse of some element A is unique. Okay. The zero element, the additive identity, zero element has no multiplicative inverse. Then multiplicative identity is unique. In case of normal multiplication, it is 1. Okay. And then multiplicative identity is not equal to additive identity. Okay. So these are some properties kind of related to unit. Okay. So yeah, this is unit. What is a unit? In a ring with unity. Okay. If some element has a multiplicative inverse and the multiplicative inverse of that element must belong to the set. Okay. So then that element is called a unit. Okay. So for example, say in my set of real number under addition and multiplication, okay, so number 2 is a unit because the multiplicative inverse of 2 is 1 by 2. Okay, so 2 is a unit because 1 by 2 is the multiplicative inverse and 1 by 2 belongs to the set. But if I were to take the set of integers, okay, then this 2 will not be a unit. Okay, why? Because the multiplicative inverse 1 by 2 does not belong to my set. Okay, so this will not be a unit in this example. Finally, let us talk about the final topic of the day. It is fields. Okay. So to be a field, okay, so So I have this set, I have this operation, and I have this second operation. This has to be a ring. In fact, it has to be non-trivial. It has to be non-trivial ring with unity. Okay, it has to be commutative. So it has to, in fact, these two together, it says that this has to be a non-trivial commutative ring with unity. Okay, now rule number 3 is this: every non-zero, okay, and by zero I mean additive identity, every non-zero element in R must be an unit. Alright, zero does not have a multiplicative inverse. What does this mean? It means this has to be a commutative ring with unity, and then every element in this set except for this zero element, additive inverse, except for that element, every other element must have a multiplicative inverse which belongs to this set. So the multiplicative inverse of every element of this set apart from 0 must belong to this set. If that condition is satisfied, apart from satisfying these two conditions, then that would be a field. Okay, so field has these three conditions. Satisfying these three conditions would mean that the set under these two operation is a field. Let us talk about this once again. This set of integer under addition and multiplication. So I know this is a ring with unity. I know this is commutative ring. So this is a commutative ring with unity. Okay. Now, what is rule number 3? Every element of this set except for 0 element must be an unit. Okay, what does it mean to say that the element must be a unit? It means that the multiplicative inverse of that element must exist in this set. So once again, let us take this example of 2. The multiplicative inverse of 2 is 1 by 2. 1 by 2 is not an integer. Okay, so this does not belong to the set of integers. So this integer 2, its multiplicative inverse does not belong to the set of integer. So what do we know? There is an element 2. Okay, let us use 2 as a counter example. There is an element 2 which is not an unit. It does not have a multiplicative inverse. Okay, so not every element is an unit. Okay, for example, 2 is not a unit. Okay, so although these two rules are satisfied, this rule is not satisfied. Okay, because of this we know this is not a field. Okay, let us try to figure out if the set of real number, not rational number, okay, if the set of real number is a field. So it's a ring with unity. It's definitely non-trivial. Okay, then multiplication is commutative with real number, so this is a commutative ring. Okay, And then is every element an unit? Okay, that is what we have to figure out. So every element, except there is this caveat that every element except 0 has to be an unit, except the 0 element. So every element A, okay, where A belongs to the set of real number. Alright, I know 1 by A is this 1 by A is also real. Now, not for every element A, there is this one more condition: A is not equal to 0. Okay, so 1 by A is the multiplicative inverse of A, and A is not equal to 0. So 1 by 0, had this requirement been there that every element has to be a unit, okay, then we would have had a problem, because 1 by 0 is undefined. 1 by 0 does not belong to the set of real number. But then we have this relaxation that the 0 element need not be an unit. So apart from 0 element, every other element, okay, A, that belongs to the set of real number. Now we have this relaxation: A need not be equal to 0, A is not equal to 0. So every element A that belongs to the set of real number, 1 by A, which is its multiplicative inverse, we know that also belongs to the set of real number. Okay, so yeah, what do we know? We know that this R, set of real number, under this operation addition and multiplication, it's a non-trivial ring with unity, it's a commutative ring, and every non-zero element is a unit. Alright, so yeah, this is an example of a, since these three conditions are satisfied, this is an example of a field. Alright, now let us talk about one final set, the set of rational number. Okay, 0 is a rational number, fine. 0 can be written as 0 by 1, for example. So a rational number is a number of this form, A by B. Its multiplicative inverse will be B by A. I know B is not equal to 0. Okay, why do I know B is not equal to 0? A by B is not equal to 0. Okay, and if B were equal to 0 in this case, then this would have been undefined. So since B is not equal to 0, I have this set of rational number. Had B been equal to 0, this would have been undefined. This would not belong to the set of rational number. So A by B is not equal to 0. This means what? A is also not equal to 0. Okay, so B is not equal to 0. A by B is not equal to 0 means A is not equal to 0. Because of that reason, I know B by A belongs to the set of rational number. Okay, B by A is not equal to 0, so B by A is not undefined. So there is this 0 divide by 0 error will not arise. Okay, so B by A will also belong to the set of rational number. So yeah, you can use this to prove that every non-zero element is an unit. Okay, so apart from that, you should figure out if this condition and this condition are satisfied. If this and this are satisfied, okay, and I almost talked about this fact that this is satisfied. So if all these three would be satisfied, then that would mean that this is also a field. Right. So yeah, this brings to an end today's video. Okay, so yeah, we have talked about ring and field. So we began by talking about ring. So we defined what is a ring. Then we looked at a few rules for ring. We talked about what is commutative ring, with examples of commutative ring and examples of things which are ring but not commutative ring. Then we talked about ring with unity and ring without unity. Okay. Then we talked about what are divisors and what is zero divisor. And then we talked about what is integral domain. Finally, after talking about integral domain, we talked about unit, and then we are ending this video by talking about what are fields. So I hope you understood everything in this video. If not, then you can of course reach out to me. You can call me, you can WhatsApp me, you can ask me doubts through Google Classroom, or you can leave your doubts in the comment section below. Hope you have understood everything. If not, go back and rewatch the video, and then of course feel free to reach out to me. Okay, so with this we have come to the end of today's video. See you in the next video. Thank you.